This is Hidden Killers Week in Review.
A look back at the most prolific stories of the week.
This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski.
Featuring author, psychologist and daily contributor, Siobhan Scott.
Jennifer Crumbley taking the stand in her own defense. Jennifer Crumbley, of course, being charged with being part of the conspiracy that took the lives of 4 students when her son, Ethan Crumbley, went and shot up a school, making her take some responsibility, or attempting to make her take some responsibility for providing a weapon for her child and not doing anything to prevent such a tragedy from taking place. Joining me to discuss, Siobhan Scott, psychotherapist and author. This is a case that really has the potential to set some precedent here. Where do you think this could go, and what sort of impact do you think it could make on unfortunately, we're talking about future times and cases when this is inevitably going to happen again?
Yeah, it's a tricky issue because, as people have said, well, if we start holding parents accountable for one bad thing their kid does, at what point do we stop and say, that this is overdone, this is too much? I get that. But we've got to do something in this country. Hundreds and hundreds of school shootings now. Gun violence is the #1 killer of children between ages 1 and 19. We're the only country in the world like this. We're the only country in the world that has school shootings like this. What's the variable? It's easy access to firearms, often these automatic or semi-automatic weapons that are considered weapons of war. And there was a recent survey, which I found really interesting. 70% of parents who owned guns in the home believed that their children could not in any way access their guns. Then the children of these folks were interviewed separately, which was fascinating. 1/3 of the kids said that they could access the gun in less than 5 minutes without their parents' awareness. And another 50% of those said that they could access it in less than an hour with no trouble. So I think when we look at the big picture here, this is carnage. And I think we've got cultural PTSD. People are homeschooling their kids because they're afraid of school shootings, which, of course, yes, in the big picture of the millions of people in this country, it's not going to happen most of the time, but it's happening with frequency, increasing frequency. And I think people are just throwing up their hands saying, we've got to do something here. I think the evidence in this case is particularly glaring. The fact that they had clearly a disturbed kid, a very unhappy kid, a kid who was having hallucinations, apparently, that they were ignoring, who had violent fantasies, who had killed small animals. He even had a plan, now they didn't know this, but other people knew it, to kidnap, torture, and rape a classmate. Okay, so we've got a disturbed kid. What do they do for his 15th birthday? Buy him a gun. And then post about it on Facebook as if, look how cool this is. So this really is a glaring case where I think we've got to hold parents responsible. And that's my bias because I study violence all the time and prevention is my big thing. That was the topic of my book. How do we stop this? And we always look at these multiple we try to look for the cause, and it's always multiple factors: mental health of the shooter, the social exposure that they have, particularly to the internet, a culture where we live in that, guns are always a solution to personal problems or grievances, the lack of mental health care accessibility. But other countries have those problems too. And so what is the big difference here? It's that we've got more guns than people and kids are accessing them. So we've got to do something, I think, to hold parents accountable. So many kids that die from gun violence accidentally shoot themselves from just playing with the gun. It's made me sick for years. And so that's my own emotional response to it.
And I completely agree. I mean, something certainly needs to be done about the access that kids have to these things. With this specific case, and what I'm wondering about is the long-term effects of this case and the precedents that it's going to be setting if, in fact, they are found guilty of this, and which I think they are. I mean, they are idiots. These were two extremely dumb parents that were very much wrapped up into their own world of whatever the hell they were doing without a whole lot of regard for the possibilities of what their disturbed son may be getting into, which they knew damn well was disturbed. I mean, the evidence is all there. If you were not aware of that, you are just one hell of a confirmation bias of thinking your son is, some lovely young man. But I don't think that is the case. I think they knew the dangers of what was going on. They were constantly meeting with the school. There was issues here. There was issues there. It's not like that wasn't glaring. But how do you legislate stupidity?
Sick of the ads?
We are too.
Start listening with no commercials now and get access to all of our episodes in advance of everyone else.
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
True Crime Today Premium Plus.
Sign up now.